On February 22nd, there were two UH-60 Blackhawks that were involved in an accident in Utah. They were making an approach to a snow-covered landing area that evidently was common use for them. However, they got into a whiteout situation due to the loose snow, and ultimately losing both of the aircraft. The only good thing that came out of this is luckily no one was significantly injured or killed. So I'd like to show you guys the video first and take a look at that, see what the sequence of events were, and then we'll come back and talk about some comments on aspects of the accident.
Division? Oh, that one just crashed. Holy shit, it just crashed. I know. Too much upflow. I do too, man. Did both of them? No, just one of them crashed. Holy crap.
So the first aspect I'd like to talk about with this video is the fact that what most of my comments are going to be aimed at general aviation, not at Army and under combat situations, that sort of thing. We're talking about flying general aviation here. The first thing you want to think about or need to be aware of is that in general aviation, it would essentially never, ever, never be necessary to approach in formation, okay? So that's one thing you never have to do. You're not being shot at. You're not trying to get into a landing area and before you give away your position and get out quickly. So there's no reason to take a ridiculously unnecessary risk of coming in formation with general aviation aircraft or general aviation helicopters. And the fact that these two helicopters came in trail formation was a major part of the problem. The first aircraft created a bunch of snow that was blown up and essentially engulfed the second aircraft and caused them to be in a whiteout situation where he obviously, it's hard to tell from the video exactly what happened, but apparently lost visual reference. And I'm unsure if the aircraft, if his aircraft, the main rotor blade hit the aircraft in front of him, or if he actually did a dynamic rollover and his blades hit the ground. But you can see one of the blades off of the second aircraft actually fly up into the air towards the right side of the screen. The next thing I'd like to mention is that when you do an approach into snow or a potentially dusty or sandy situation, you want to have a very, very low threshold for pulling pitch and going around. If it's not looking good to you, if if you're blowing up more snow that's affecting your visibility, you need to just pull pitch and go around. In this particular case where they came in trail, that would be a bit difficult. They would have had to work out, okay, if we have to pull pitch and go around, I'm going to brake left, you brake right, whatever. But again, if you're by yourself and you're coming in, landing in the snow, or a potential whiteout situation, or dust or sand, where it could be a brownout situation, you want to have a very, very low threshold for pulling pitch and going around. Okay, so we'll talk about how we do an approach into snow here. In Missouri, most of the time we're going to have a very small amount of snow, only about 3 or 4 inches of snow. And we're down here in thick air near sea level, 300 or 400 foot elevation. And the technique that we use to get into a snow-covered area may not work at all at a much higher altitude where aircraft performance may come into play. And also you may be landing in 1 foot to 2 foot or even more of snow. So I'll discuss what we do here, but again, don't try to extrapolate that out to a much higher altitude, much deeper snow and a different aircraft, because it may just not work well at all. What you really need to do if you're going to be doing any landings in snow is you need to get together with somebody that has a lot of experience in the type of aircraft that you're flying at that altitude and that amount of snow, and practice and get some training. That will make a huge difference. What we do here is we actually come to a high hover. So if we got, and again, we're only dealing with a few inches of snow most of the time, 3 or 4 inches is about it. And we'll bring the aircraft to a high hover, 15 feet off the ground, so skids are 15 to 20 feet. Again, it will do it here because we're in thick air, cold temperatures, even at max gross weight. We can hold the thing at a 15-foot skids off the surface hover. This works very well if you're into a bit of a wind. 10 or 15 knot wind works really well. And you can hold it up here, and you're going to basically allow the snow to blow away. The wind actually takes the snow on down behind you, and you may take up to 2 or 3 or 4 minutes to actually come down to a spot and set the aircraft down. And that works very well for snow. The technique here for landing in dust or sand is completely different, even here, completely different. And what you have to do there is you basically make an approach to a no hover landing and get the thing onto the ground. If you were to try to come in even in an R-44 to some sort of a high hover here at 8 feet or whatever and blow the dust away and sand away, that's not going to work. All you're going to do is make one hell of a dust cloud, and you're never going to be successful with that. You're going to pull, pitch, and go around. And the type of approach that you need to do coming into dust or sand around here is basically, again, an approach which involves no hover right to your landing and set the aircraft down. Once you're on the ground, typically the dust and sand will come up and sort of engulf you. It's kind of an uncomfortable feeling. You're on the ground by that time that you've made your big dust cloud, but never did like doing it. And in the Huey it was even worse. In the Huey, you come in on a sandbar, you're kicking up dust and sand. You have got to come down to a no hover approach and get the aircraft onto the ground. So again, what you need to do if you're going to be doing these type of operations, you need to get together with somebody with a lot of experience in the type of aircraft that you're flying, at the altitudes that you're flying at, and get some training. So if you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.